let's start the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start the show.
Positive.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta do this thing. So that was John and Way's. You give them a description of what they were listening to right now.
Oh, so I think when was it? It might have been. It was. I think early not last week. It was a 20th anniversary of Owen Hart's death.
Yeah.
Um.
Pro wrestler Owen Hart,
Yeah. Who
who
fell
fell
from
to his death during like a stunt.
during the live pay per view. I
Yeah.
think Over the Edge back in '99. John and Wade did a profile audio documentary called about the incident or about the final Owen's final 24 hours before he passed, and I think they interviewed a couple of key figures like the referee Jimmy Kuderas, this guy who was a fan but also Owen's friend, and a couple of reporters from that night. So it's a pretty intense audio documentary. Just knowing the behind the scenes and what led up to Owen's passing. It's kind of dark and kind of heavy.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that time. I remember that when that happened. I mean, it seems like a lot longer than 99, doesn't it? It seems like it would like.
Yeah, it does. Well, I was. I'm pretty sure I was the only person in my high school that had an Owen 316 shirt,
Mm.
and the back it said, "I just broke your neck," referring to the when Owen power drive Stone Cold and broke his neck.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, I was a big Owen fan, Heart Foundation fan. So doesn't seem like it was 20 years though,
No,
but this makes me. Oh, geez, I'm freaking old.
honestly, it almost seems a little bit longer than 20 years. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like such a long time ago. But 99 doesn't seem like that long ago when you talk about other things like movies or events. You know what I mean? But like that particular event just seems like so much longer. Like it just seems like it happened so much like
Yeah.
a lot longer ago, like 95, 94. Just
Mhm.
that year comes like when
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
about
same
that
here. Or 96 maybe.
thing. Yeah,
But yeah, I think his death is what was the beginning of the split between in the Hart family.
oh yeah,
I mean, there was half of the family that was siding with Vince, and the other side siding with Martha Owens widow. Um, so yeah, that it's sad because you watch the Canadian Stampede in your house. It's like a B level pay per view with the Hart Foundation in Calgary, and in the main event, it was Team Heart Foundation versus Stone Cold, LOD, and I forget who else. But at the end, you see all the Hearts victorious. Brett, Owen, Bulldog,
yeah,
Brian Pillman, and then you see all the Hart family go in the ring, and that was like the peak of the Hart Foundation. And then a year later, Owen dies. The family splits up. A year later, in 2000, Brett has his stroke. It's crazy.
yeah. It's
I mean,
crazy.
and for Brett, it all went downhill. His parents died. He lost his brother. He got a stroke. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's John and Way's audio documentary about the death of Owen Hart. That is when are they releasing the full
Well, they released it. I think the
full
day.
thing? Or-
Yeah, it's a full audio documentary. But this week, John's releasing because he did several interviews for the documentary,
yeah.
and this week he's releasing the full length interviews of each
full-length
person he interviewed for the documentary.
Cool, cool.
So I think yesterday they dropped the referee Jimmy Kuderas.
Yeah.
I think today they dropped another interview. So
Yeah.
you get to get the full experience with the full interview. But
Nice.
yeah, you can just subscribe to the Post Wrestling on iTunes or wherever you guys get your podcasts, and then you can hear it yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure you guys catch that. We touch on some wrestling here and there if you guys listen to the show, and then we are big fans of pro wrestling. James is more of a current fan of pro wrestling. I haven't really been able to follow it all that much. I mostly just follow MMA and all that stuff. But back until like maybe the mid 2000s, I was like deep into it, and even just early on,
Yeah,
all the way down to as a kid. So
when it comes to like characters like Going Hart
yeah,
from our generation, it's
Yeah.
it's
Like we have a little Razor Ramon right here.
Yeah.
So we have Ali versus Inoki over here with Josh Gross's book on that event. So yeah, we're fans of pro wrestling. So every now and then our friends over at Post Wrestling are obviously they're all about that wrestling. So, but yeah, um, this week we got some stuff to go over. We didn't. It was a quiet week last week. There wasn't really any fights, no
Mhm.
big fights. Um,
More
you
Day
know,
Week Day was yesterday.
yeah, yeah, and then what happened yesterday? Anything happen?
Well, I had to work, but I didn't mind working because I got double pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but nothing happened.
I was asleep all day yesterday. I was in a coma all day yesterday. I don't know. I was like catching up on sleep. I was a little bit sicker over the weekend. The baby was a little sick, got me sick. I hate it when when he gets sick. I hate it when
Yeah,
when
it's just
Julian
because
gets
he's so
sick.
young and he
Yeah,
can't tell you what's wrong, and
yeah,
you just see his innocent little face in pain, and
yeah,
you hate to see that.
yeah. He's just like either sneezing, snot's coming out, or like he's just like red eyed, or he's like
Mhm.
that first night is always the worst because he's just uncomfortable and he's like he get his nose is congested and all that stuff, and
Like,
then
yeah, and then like you're afraid that if he knows how to breathe without his nose,
yeah,
but all
or
that stuff's
you
instinct.
just don't like to see him uncomfortable. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. You know he'll be all right. You just don't have to like. But then I think I got a little sick. I got something because on Thursday and Friday I was just like I felt like crap. I was like drained. I still was able to do my thing and do what I need to do like work and all that stuff. But yeah, definitely felt something Friday, Saturday. No symptoms really, just felt weak. And Thursday night going into Friday, I was like the chills. Like when you just can't get warm.
Yeah.
That's how it was. I just couldn't get warm. I was like, it was bad. And then Saturday over the weekend, it was mostly just kind of like the road stuff, a little coughing up of some phlegm, but not really. We really didn't know congestion. Nothing, not as bad as he went through, but
Yeah.
if he felt anything that I felt I would have. I felt bad
That sucks.
because I felt like shit.
Dude, I've been so tired lately. Like
Me too. I'm over this
I
shit.
just like
Yeah,
like I
over
wake
this
up and I
fucking
feel like I
shit.
can sleep like at least
Yeah.
6 more hours. But I don't know. I don't like it that I can't sleep throughout the night. I have to get up at least once or twice.
I thought you
Even
started to drug yourself. I thought you
yeah,
started doing
I
that.
do, and I still get up.
Mm.
Like I still can't sleep throughout the night.
I put myself in a coma some days. Like when I come up from a late shift,
Hmm.
I'll take a gummy, 10 milligram gummy. I'll take a melatonin, 3 milligram melatonin, and I'll smoke some CBD.
Oh my
I
god.
fucking I am gone for like 9 hours straight. I'm just like I might wake up once real quick to take a piss,
Oh
but
god.
I'm out.
Well, if you had that I was off the next day, I'd probably try it.
Yeah,
But I think if I do it like tonight and have to wake up early tomorrow,
yeah,
no way I'll be able to wake up.
yeah. No, I try to put myself in a little coma, but no. I mean, yeah, I've been tired, been a little sick, but all in all, pretty good. What do we have to talk about? We have several things to talk about here. We have Faber. I think the news. Let's just go with some of the news today. Uriah Faber coming out of retirement. He's facing Simon. You might recognize the guy, but he's not a relatively big name in the UFC, even in the UFC, even amongst hardcores. But he's coming out of retirement. I think he got outpointed in that in Polaris. At Polaris is over the weekend. He got against Nicky Ryan, Gordon Ryan's younger brother, who's just a jiu-jitsu phenom, just like his brother. Outpointed Faber, with competition, but Nicky's no joke. Young, he seems like looks like a young kid, but he's probably like 19. I don't know what he is now.
Yeah, we met him. Right?
Yeah, when we met him and seen him around for at least the past 4 years. So, um, Faber coming out of retirement at 40 years old, newly married,
Yeah. That's a kid.
first time father now. I mean, he didn't go out looking bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always the guy that's taking really good care of himself. You know, What do you make of this? Is this
The first thing that comes to my mind is why. I mean,
why, right? Yeah.
he's a former world champion. He's done everything he can possibly do. He's coming in at a time where you got beast in 135, 145, 155.
Yeah.
He's 40 years old. He's been in a long layoff. I mean, I don't see him being even a contender for a title.
No.
Um, and then I kind of feel bad. I mean, look at Team Alpha Male, who was a at one time one of the best gyms out there, and now they're just, I wouldn't say they're a joke, but they're nothing now. I mean,
They're losing a lot of people. A
they're
lot of people
losing
are
a lot of,
jumping ship.
yeah, and then they never had a head coach to the
Yeah.
squad.
Well, they did
I once, yeah, they
with
with
Ludwig,
but
but not
he
anymore.
left, and it's just bad luck after bad luck. You got Sage Norca, their newest student, who just got
Even
knocked out.
even one of their main guys, Justin Buchholz,
Yeah, he
took off.
left. Yeah, I mean, I I don't see any reasoning but just the BJ Penn effect, where he needs to,
Yeah.
he feels like he needs to compete still
Yeah.
at a high level. But I mean, I don't see. I mean, he's 40 and he's a father. He should just do grappling competition to get that fix out of the way, and be a father to your kid.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
need to hurt yourself, and at 40, put your body and your brain in high
Yeah.
risk.
I mean, yeah, there really isn't. You can find plenty of other ways to make money. You still have a successful gym in the area. Um, you could make a lot. You can make appearances. You could do seminars. You can do broadcasting. You can, if it's not with ESPN, you can do it with some
Or
other.
just, I mean, a team alpha male is his. Just become the head coach.
Yeah, yeah, maybe
Fill
work.
that role.
Yeah, just feel that. I think he's somewhat in that role, but I mean, maybe he's just out of boredom. Maybe it's competition. Maybe it's to earn a little extra cash. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of both.
It's that false sense of hope that we see a lot of fighters his age
Yeah.
give themselves to think that they can still have a
I
run in them.
I just hope since he had the wherewithal and the sense to kind of call it a day, um, at a decent time in his career when he wasn't getting beat up, but he was obviously losing a step. Like if he sees that it's not going his way, that I don't want to see him like a BJ Penn where it doesn't he just doesn't really matter whether doesn't care about what's going on. He's just gonna if I lose doesn't go. I don't want to see Faber on a 7 fight losing streak. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, no disrespect to Bellator, but he's just signed with Bellator. Like he has a better chance. He has a higher percentage of winning than with the best of the best in the UFC.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's there to prove? I mean, another shot at the title. I mean, let's see if that happens. I mean, Faber was always one of those guys that kind of hovered around the title,
He's a just a Benavidez.
but will he even have a chance to even come close to that again? I don't know.
I don't see it happening.
At his age, at whatever he's got going on in his life right now, I just don't. I think it's too many distractions and too many new things to throw this into the mix. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You just had a kid. Just enjoy your kid.
Yeah.
Run your business. Go your business is, and just
Yeah.
whatever.
Like, I don't think we can ever comprehend a mind of a fighter.
Just there's no reason for it.
But
Or do competitions like that, like Polaris and all that, like
yeah, do EBI,
EBI, Polaris.
like do the whole circuit.
Yeah, do the whole circuit. Do.
But I mean, we can sit here and say that. I don't know what he's feeling, but I just hope his decision that he makes is a safe one for
Yeah.
him and his family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he does win or if he does compete, it's a nice little payday. Put some extra money in that bank account. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Talk about the money in the bank. You have Yoel Romero wins a tainted supplement lawsuit. Remember he got popped at one time.
Yeah,
Claimed
and
it was a
he got
tainted.
like 27 million, right?
Yeah, claimed it was a tainted supplement. Found that it was. Did like a 6 month suspension. Then filed a lawsuit against that company, and he was awarded $27 million in damages.
Yeah, see, in the state of New Jersey, um, if you win a case, they award you 3 times the pay. So he was suing, I think, for 3 million for uh, emotional damage, 3 million for I think like fees, not fees, but loss of income
Yeah,
and something else. But they double that. That's why it came up to so much.
yeah,
And the only thing that he's gonna have to pay out of his pocket is pretty much legal fees.
yeah. I mean, take a portion of the money, put in legal fees, and then I mean, he's gonna pocket a decent amount of cash right there.
Yeah,
That's
at least 20 million.
that. I'm sure those legal fees weren't that much. I mean, he's probably a couple, maybe
Couple million, huh?
not even that. Maybe a little bit less than that.
Yeah. I mean, he's 40. I
Less
mean,
than that.
do you still need to fight?
I know. Fuck.
I say you
If I was
just.
him, I would take a couple more fights.
I would even fight.
Call it a day.
I
Call
just
it, you
call it a
know.
day.
Yeah.
And Rice, I don't know.
I know. I'm curious to see how much he's bless you. I'm
Negative.
curious to see how much he will he'll pocket at the end of that.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of change right there.
Yeah. So if you're gonna sue, go to say New Jersey where they triple your winnings.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So that's a good chunk of change. So I mean, if I was him, I mean, really evaluate your career and see if you
Yeah.
really need
Dude, right to the sunset with
what
a briefcase full of money.
because at 27 mil after legal fees and taxes, you still have a good chunk of change right there, and you could make it. You could put that money in bank.
Yeah. Invested and
Yep,
you can do a lot of good things with it.
definitely. So a couple of, other news. You had altercations with Charles Oliveira, not Charles Oliveira, Alex Oliveira, Alex Cowboy Oliveira, um, in an alleged assault, and kind of it was a weird. I guess he's had some alcohol issues. Um, some altercation with his wife.
Mm.
Police were called. He ends up leaving the scene and takes his I think their daughter with him. But then ends up turning himself in and ends up now he's in some legal issues. Um, all in all, I think everybody's okay. I don't think there's really anybody hurt in the whole incident, but this is another story in a long list of domestic issues with fighters: Matt Hughes, B.J. Penn, Anthony Johnson, Alex Oliveira, all within the past like few months. I mean, I think I think every case is different, and some of them are special cases. Like Anthony Johnson's had this is multiple times with Anthony Johnson. This is the first time with Alex Oliveira.
Mm.
He is coming off, I think, maybe a couple back-to-back losses. Who knows what's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
BJ Penn and Matt Hughes are obviously older fighters, and the question of either, obviously Matt Hughes has had some other issues. So that's why Matt Hughes is, his accident. But the older fighters and their domestic issues, that could be attributed to CTE. You know what I mean? Maybe that stuff coming up. Who knows? I think it's a case by case basis, but we are seeing a lot of domestic issues when it comes to MMA fighters recently.
Yeah, I mean the pattern is there. It just makes our sport look bad,
It does.
especially when when you got other combat sports who don't have that problem necessarily. You got guys. I mean, the thought of Anthony Johnson, who's huge.
Yeah. Ed Ferguson, remember
Yeah,
Ferguson's
Ferguson.
incident?
Yeah. That's scary. Those guys are highly skilled and can kill
Yeah.
someone with their hands. And um, I hope that there's some kind of testing for that, or they would look the UFC or
Look a little
whoever's
further
in
into it.
charge would do something to try to prevent anything like a War Machines case
Yeah.
where they go berserk. Not to let it get to that level. Uh, and you're right. It's case by case. Not one case is the same, but the pattern is definitely there, and hopefully they'll do something about it. I don't see nothing happening unless it gets to that point. 'Cause a lot of times, authorities won't do anything until it gets ugly.
Yeah.
and I hope that it doesn't get to a War Machine level or even worse.
Yeah. This is if you look at each case, it looks bad when you put them all together and they're all happening so close to each other, and for some of them it's their second second or third incident. Um, I don't know. They are fighters. They are pro athletes. They all have their own demons. Um, some of them are big partiers. Some of them drinkers, alcohol, and substance abusers. Like BJ's always been known as a substance abuser and or at least like a big partier.
Yeah.
Kind of a wild guy. He even getting into fights over in bars and altercations in bars and you know I talked to somebody who was actually at that night when I don't know if you remember BJ Penn had this incident at a bar in Hawaii like
Hmm.
maybe a couple years back,
Yeah.
a few years back, where I think he got into an altercation and people ended up, I think they ended up getting the better of him. Um, the way this person who was in the bar, he was in the bar at that time, and
Oh
actually
my
I
God.
witnessed this whole incident. So it was like an altercation between him and another guy. The other guy came up to BJ, and BJ was with his friends, and the guy was with his friends, and it was like a big Hawaii type like a beef. They had this, throwing out the lingo. For what I'm hearing, what I was told about how it went down was that the guy, they were kind of like face to face, him and the guy just like kind of like clocks him, and kind of staggers BJ, and I think BJ kind of like covers up real quick, and the guy's like just throwing all these like wild punches, and then BJ's people jump in, and then the other guy's people jump in. And I think the other guy's people, there were a lot more of them, so
Yeah.
I don't think BJ and his people did very well that night. Because they were outnumbered, and
Oh my
so it
God.
was like a wild brawl, and police were called, and that's
And to think that that guy can brag,
yeah,
I beat a
yeah.
BJ
I saw,
Penn.
I clocked BJ.
He's a world champion. Those
Yeah,
MMA people are chumps.
exactly. So this wasn't. I think this was maybe 2016 or something like that when it happened. So this was like obviously an older BJ, but still he's a world champion MMA fighter, and I would not. I would hate to be in that and have to feel like you're getting tested everywhere you go. People know who you are.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, it's like having a giant target in your back because
yeah,
I think people kind of take advantage of him being who he is, and
yeah.
if you get the better hand,
You want to test
then
themselves. You want to test
you'll
yourself.
be a legend yourself.
Yep. People want to test like that's their manhood against a pro fighter and see if they could get one off on you or something like that. You know what I mean? Well, this person apparently did.
Well, if you didn't do it to be Japan, I think now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time to do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's a case by case basis. It's very noticeable now that starting to become a pattern. We've seen it a lot more.
Mm.
I don't know what to make of it really. I don't know if it's really a CT issue. Is it is it a MMA issue? I think it's just
Maybe it could be just a mixture of everything.
this is a coincidence
Being
maybe.
under it, under the influence when it comes to substance abuse or anything else, and then you know, when you're like drunk or high or whatever, any little thing can trigger you.
Yeah. And then
You're uber sensitive.
if you've been in the game for a long time, who knows what kind of CT issues you have. Maybe
Kicks to the
that's
head,
yeah,
punches to the head.
yeah.
Some
Especially for
some
some of
guys
those old
fight like
guys.
40 times a year.
Yeah, especially for some of those old guys. I'm
Yeah.
sure we're barely starting to see some of that. So
Mm.
yeah, and there's just a lot of cases out there that have happened in the last like I would say even just the past 6 months that we listed like 5, 6 fighters
Mm.
already.
That's crazy.
You
On
know,
the UFC.
all in the UFC, and obviously those guys get the most attention, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Hopefully it kind of like subsides and we start to see less of this, but it's some of those incidences have been pretty bad and pretty frequent as of late. Have you been able to catch some of the UFC's content that they're putting on YouTube?
No, but I noticed that Matt Hughes.
They're putting like a lot of stuff on YouTube right
Right, I
now,
know.
which I appreciate.
I see it, but I don't watch anything.
They because I watch a lot of YouTube. I just have it on my TV. It's like a channel for me. So um, they have I think UFC one the entire event. They have UFC which one is it? It was 1997. It was a heavyweight tournament. It had like I think it was Shamrock and Dan Severn,
Mm.
and I think Belfort, 19-year-old Belfort was on there. I
Mm.
think Belfort's like debut.
Oh wow.
Um, they have that whole event up on there. They have some of those single fights. They have like Tito versus Guy Metzger, and they have like Dan Severin against Ken Shamrock. They have Hoyce and Ken in their super fight, the 30-minute one.
Mm.
They have that one up. They've been posting up these all these like classic old fights, all these
Mm.
Fight Pass content.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I watched the entire the 97 card. I forgot which one that was. Maybe UFC 8 or I don't know. I watched the
Mm.
entire thing the other day.
How was it?
It was good. It was I liked it. It was the whole event was pretty crazy. It, like the music and this like the fights are pretty entertaining. Um, I'll probably watch UFC 1 later on. They have that one up. But it was pretty good. It was pretty
I'm
good.
surprised because I mean it just that's what people buy UFC Fight Pass for to get the entirety.
Yeah, and I mean if you enjoyed it, that's all on UFC Fight Pass,
Mm.
which that and more. But I enjoyed it. I appreciate the free content. I think they should do that a little bit more often. I think that'll actually promote the Fight Pass a lot more. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was crazy seeing some of those guys like Mark Coleman,
Mm.
um, Dan Severn, and Ken Shamrock, and how just big and roided up they were.
Yeah.
Oh, even
And wearing wrestling shoes.
19-year-old Vitor. 19-year-old Vitor was a monster, dude.
Yeah.
Monster. His traps and his shoulders, and then on top of him just being Vitor and his speed and his like,
He's
damn,
all
it was
go to the
a beast, man.
yeah. He's fighting
A
juice to the
beast.
gill.
And it was interesting how how they called him because they called him they were almost like Victor. They almost come like Victor, Victor.
Mm.
The way they called him, even Joe, it sounded like the same Victor. And then I think they how he went as Gracie before, but then changed it back to Belfort. Like that was the first time he went to Belfort. Basically, he was going as Gracie for a while.
Oh, so you're going to as Vitor Gracie?
Yeah, because it was on like he came up to Carlson Gracie, so he was paying homage to them. So he's going as Vitor Gracie,
Mm.
and then changed it to his real name.
Crazy.
But it was great. That all the content on there. I suggest you guys go on UFC's YouTube channel. That was like it was pretty fun watching some of those old fights. And then this weekend we have UFC Stockholm. It's the main event featuring Anthony Smith and Alex Gustafsson. This weekend you have WX78, WXC78. I don't even know where that's from. That's on Fight Pass. Cage Warriors is on Fight Pass this weekend. LFA on Access TV. And then CES MMA, that's on UFC Fight Pass. And UFC on ESPN 11, Gustafsson versus Smith. That is also this weekend. And also Ryzen has a card this weekend, which is great. You have Junior Frey versus Ayake Hamasaki. That's in the main event. You have who else is on this card? It's not a whole lot on this card actually. That's the main event. Junior Frey making her Ryzen debut over for the Atomweight title. And let's get on this UFC card. Gustafsson versus Smith. A lot of talk back and forth between these two. I think some respect for the most part. Not a whole lot of trash talk, but Anthony Smith making a lot of comments about Luke Rockhold and wanting the Luke Rockhold fight after this, no matter what happens. I don't really like that talk. You know, just focus on Gustafsson because Gustafsson's probably the toughest guy in the division right now outside of Jones.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
yeah, I don't really like that talk. To me, this doesn't looking like it doesn't look like Anthony Smith has. I don't doubt his focus, but I doubt his focus.
I mean, it just
You know what I mean? Like it's just
I mean, Rocco's in his head.
Rockhold's is in his head, and why? I know he's getting asked about it because he's been talked. You know, he's talking a lot about Rockhold, but
And he's
I don't
pretty
understand
much
it.
he's following Rocco what Rocco wants him to do.
To talk about Rockhold,
Is that is get off your game, lose this fight, and then
yeah,
give it up again.
yeah.
Because I don't see Anthony Smith beating Gustafsson.
No, I think it's a tough fight, but I think if Anthony Smith were to win this fight against Gustafsson, now's probably the best time.
For the walkout fight?
I don't, yeah, well, to beat Gustafsson because I don't think I don't. This is like the Jones against Jones and Gustafsson too. Gustafsson didn't look that great. I just for me, it is he didn't. He looked slow. He kind of looked a little out of shape.
And he didn't. He definitely didn't pull the trigger.
He didn't put a trigger at all.
He was like gun shy.
I just if we see that Gustafsson in this fight, I would probably go with Anthony Smith. So right now, I still think Gustafsson is probably the favorite.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
the undercard is pretty decent. You have Frank Camacho on the card. You have Tanya Evinger versus Lena Landsberg on the card. That's a fun fight right there. Um, but not a whole lot to speak on in terms of the undercard. Um, on the main card, you have Sungbin Joe against Daniel Timur. It's a fun fight. Christos Gallegos versus Damir Hadzovic. American Makwan Americani, which we haven't seen for a long time. That guy was like the next big thing, pretty boy, kind of big talker, and then just disappeared. Like I don't know. And now he's kind of slowly starting to make a comeback. But it was kind of interesting with that kid because he disappeared and very talented against Chris Fishgold. Jimmy Manuel versus Alexander Rakic. And Lier Latifi in the co-main event. Lier Latifi versus Ozdemir. And Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. In the co-main event, Latifi versus Ozdemir. Fun fight. Interesting fight. I really like that one. Who do you have?
I have the Tiffy.
Latifi? I think Latifi's probably definitely one of the toughest guys in the division. Like he's just by far if you get past Latifi, you're number one, number two contender. Like that guy, before he was like this mid-level kind of guy making his way through, but
He's making some noise.
Slowly but surely, he was making some noise, getting some dominant wins, looking really, really. He's built like a little tank. I know he lost his last fight. I think he lost his last fight. But looking really good. Both of them, I think, are coming off losses. If I'm not mistaken, I think Latifi lost against Corey Anderson in a 3-round fight. Before that, he was on a 5-fight. No, he was on a 2-fight win streak. Lost against Ryan Bader, and then on 3 fights before that. So he's 3, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. That's kind of his record. Ozdemir losing to Dominic Reyes recently, and then before that Anthony Smith, before that Daniel Cormier. So he's on a 3-fight losing streak. This is a much needed win for him. Before that he was 3 in a row, a win, and the win column looking pretty good. So this is a must win, I think, for definitely for Ozdemir more, but neither one of them are if they want to keep their place in the division,
right.
This is a do or die for them. I'd probably go Latifi. I think he probably gets it done, especially in the grappling department, and kind of dominates the positioning. Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. We just talked about. I think Gustafsson probably the favorite. Now you can weigh in which one are you betting on more, Anthony Smith's focus or Gustafsson's current state of his career.
I just think Alexander's just a better fighter overall.
Mm-hmm.
He has the experience.
Definitely has experience.
It's a bigger fight. He saw Smith, have a hard time with Jones and his height.
It is Jones though. It is Jones. Who had a better performance though? Gustafsson went a round and looked pretty shitty, and then Anthony Smith held out all 5.
Yeah, but
how much is that? How much do you weigh that?
But he got dominated all 5 rounds.
He kind of did.
He got. It was an easy win.
Yeah.
I'm picking.
You're picking Gustafsson. This is in Sweden. Obviously Gus doesn't want to go another one in Sweden loss. I think he's 1-1 in Sweden.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I might go with Anthony Smith. I think stand up wise, he's not as technical, but he's powerful. He's quick. I'm doubting his focus a little bit, but I think he's got enough there to give Gustafsson trouble.
Yeah.
The ground game, I think they're a little bit even. I think Gus has a little bit better wrestling, or at least goes for more takedowns, so Anthony might find himself in trouble there. Knockout power, I'll probably go with Anthony. Toughness, I'll probably go with and chin.
Mm.
Just, I don't know, Anthony. I'm trying to think of it, and who's on the rise, who's on the down. I don't know. It's a toss up. To me, it's a little bit closer than people think.
Mm.
I still think Gus is a favorite, but I'm probably gonna go with Anthony in this one. I say his focus. I'm down in his focus, but I think it's there. So we'll see. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
And that's our show for this week. What was today? We gotta let these people know
It's
May,
Tuesday.
Tuesday the
27th,
28th.
right? 28th.
May 28th. It's the first this weekend. Late show for us here, and then this is episode 157? 57. It'll be 4 years this September.
Jeez.
4 years solid, I think. 4 years, right?
Yeah.
It's longer than 4 years. Right?
Jeez, yeah. It kind of does.
In a good way, though.
And yeah, not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. Right?
I mean,
We've been doing this since 2015.
I still
Yeah.
I'm super proud of the stuff that we've done.
We've done a lot of shit.
And super proud that we've done it all with no help and independently. We got to know people that outsiders only dream of knowing. And
we busted our asses those first
2 years. And people
2 to 3 years. Like, I mean, we went through, we did a lot.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard, I think.
Yeah, and then, the payoff is going to events and having people know who we are and
being able to do what we can do as much as we can do it. Get to know people
with no help.
No help.
No big company backing us up.
No sponsors.
Nothing. It's just two guys who love the sport who are willing to come and do this for free.
Now we still bust our ass. I mean, we still have a lot. We have a lot more responsibilities now. Outside of this, and we like to. We would love to be able to do this full time and just dedicate ourselves to this 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
On the road. Fighters all the time, but like with
a budget and
with
time.
Just to go. There's a lot of stuff that we still would love to happen and work hard for, and we're still doing what we can. But I think even just us being able to put out episodes as often as we can is proud of that too.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't always get guests. We aren't able to always book guests. Mainly
it's getting harder these days.
It's getting better. That's why I'm completely. I know the fans. Our listeners are maybe would love to hear people, and obviously it would probably help us out a lot more to get people on here. But we don't always have the time to work around fighter schedules.
A lot of these fighters are in different time zones. So
a lot of them are in different time zones. Not all of them are based down in California, LA area. Mm-hmm. So we have to coordinate all this stuff, and we barely find time to even just hang out with each other. So So we do this, and we're so proud of it, and we're going to do this for as long as we can. So
yeah, for sure.
I want to thank everybody for listening, everybody for downloading, commenting, do whatever you can, share, like our post, go to MMAcomplex.com.
Yeah, buy a shirt. Buy a shirt for a friend, birthday gift.
Yep.
Christmas, whatever. Just $15, not a whole lot. Rate the show 5 stars, help the show get noticed, and we appreciate you guys all. We look forward to continuing this journey that we have been going on for a solid 4 years, and I'm looking forward next week. We'll talk about that main event, and we'll see what happens with that. Until then, you guys, enjoy your week and enjoy the fights.